in this series titled The Gospel Isn't Dangerous, American Christianity Is. And in this series, we're dismantling the false beliefs that we hold as American Christians. And today, we're going to talk about how leadership is for all. American Christians tend to fall into the trap of following the one pastor and their teachings and interpretations of the Bible. Too often, we divert our thinking to what the pastor says. And if there's a moral failure, they mess up or leave the church. The church and people's faith falls apart because it revolved around that one person. Why is that so bad? My pastor went to seminary. Shouldn't I trust them? Yes, to some degree. But we should also use the tools that God has given us to interpret Scripture for ourselves. For example, traditional historical biblical interpretation of the Bible has been done by white men exclusively. Women and people of color were largely left out for decades. So that means the scholarship and information we have on the Bible is from one voice, one culture, one perspective, that of white men. And when we remember that all people are made in God's image, it helps us expand our perspective that God can and does speak through different experiences. And even today, there's theology, which is white men, and womanist, or Black or Asian theology. The norm is still the voice of white men. The American church falls in the trap of listening to the one pastor and their voice, or reading and studying the scholarship of white men. And the danger of that is that we can end up with a very narrow and limited understanding of Scripture and God. We see this example in the Corinthian church. People have attached themselves to a leader because of their message and perceived wisdom and power. The Apostle Paul admonishes them for following one leader and their voice. And too often, what we see in the Corinthian church can happen to us. And Paul pointed that out to them and reminded them to return to the simplicity of following Jesus without the fanfare of following a leader. As I say this, my word of encouragement to you is don't just listen to me. Learn to read and apply the Bible for yourselves. When we're early in our faith journey, in our childhood, middle school, and early high school years, our leaders help us learn and grow in Scripture, and that's okay. We just have to be careful in this stage to remember that God doesn't just speak through our pastors. He speaks through an array of people, even our peers. And as we mature into high school and college, we start to differentiate and investigate our faith for ourselves, and part of this process is through questioning. So I'm going to post some reflection questions, and I encourage you to spend some time thinking and talking with other people.